Nyakoma Montsho Idu, Akoma House Initiative, culturally based counseling and consulting, clinical therapists with a cultural worldview, an African-centered worldview, talking about our dear sister, Lupita Nyong'o. So the information came out today that she's dealing with this white... Okay, I'm back. So the information came out that our dear sister, Lupita Nyong'o, is dating this white boy, I forgot his name, from Dawson's Creek, actor. And immediately it's polarizing. Immediately it garners opinions from a lot of different people. And we all are privy to our opinion. For us, as the Akoma House Initiative, we are clinically trained therapists. We are cultural historians and scholars. And we are just black people out here in the world with an opinion and a worldview that is certainly 100% African-centered. It is not an integrationist theory or position at all, 100%. And so I want to talk about a couple of things, right? So first and foremost, love. Whenever I see an interracial couple, but specifically a black woman with a white man, immediately the term love gets thrown onto it, right? Now, if we look at this scenario, what we see is both of these people broke up just in October. So in October, this white man who was married to another black woman who filed for divorce because he was mistreating her and it was hell, he just got divorced in October of 2023. We're in the first week of March 2024, and people are proclaiming this relationship to be a love relationship. So I always ask people to define love, because we say at the Akoma House Initiative, love is a holistic and perpetual consciousness characterized by an intense emotional affinity to unify and understand complementary people through complementary people, places, and things through a reciprocal energy exchange of thought, speech, and action, right? Simply put, it is a consciousness of perpetual unity. It is not an individual emotional feeling. That's not what love is, right? And so because we've been miseducated about what love is, we want to throw the label of love on anything we see, especially when it's black women and white men. We don't get the white media doing that for black men and white women. In fact, I will say this: name me a couple where the man is black and the woman is white, where this gets a lot of media coverage. They get covered as the it couple, the way everybody does. But that's just a sidebar. So the point is, in October, both of these people were in another relationship. Now they in love. Now, whatever you defining love, it can't happen that quick, especially if you was married. This white boy got married in 2019 to some black woman. Actually, the black woman who was played the lead in that horrible ass Queen and Slim. And she's a beautiful black sister. The sister who plays Queen in the Queen and Slim movie, right? He was married to her. They have a child. They met in 2019. They got married in 2020. She was pregnant. It was hell for her being with him. And then in 2023, they got a divorce. She filed for divorce and finalized the divorce in October. Now, here we are. November, December, January, February, March, and he in love with Lupita Nyong'o, and he's treating her so well. And I'm so tired of, there's a small group of sisters that will immediately project self-hate and say, well, because of her phenotype and the way she looked, nobody black probably really loved her growing up. I had somebody say that on the thread. She never said that about herself. Why are you saying that? And why do you immediately assume that nobody liked the way she looked? If no black men like the way she looked, is there a standard of white men liking that? Absolutely, emphatically no, right? So please stop that. Please stop that. If her and this man was married, this man and her were married a couple of months ago. How's he in love with Lupita? We know that most of the people understand the dynamic of what is happening. And yes, there is a double standard. Yes, it's a little bit different for women than it is for men, unfortunately, because of the dynamic of the interrelationship between these two cultures. White people not were oppressing us, they're still oppressing us. If you understand the global system of racism, white supremacy, and its 4 stages, you understand that all of the dysfunction that you see in black people is coming as an effect of the system. That doesn't negate any responsibility for us to get our stuff together, but it is an actual sociological, historical, economic, and biological fact. If somebody's poisoning you and you sick, you can't come to that person and say, you need to be more healthy. You're being poisoned, right? And so with this understanding that we have of this system, we can never try to make love an individual thing. And I'm going to say this with the utmost respect to the beautiful sisters. It is usually the sisters that promote this idea that love is some kind of individual feeling. Whenever is love individual? It never is. It's always communal. It is always the unification of a family. Marriage is not just between 2 people, it's 2 families, 2 nations. Now, how does a person love you, but not love your people and love their people who are oppressing your people? How is that possible? It's totally impossible. This is why any of us who've ever dealt with a white person or who've ever been in that dynamic know that in order to deal with them, you have to be separated from your group. Hence the individualism idea that nobody can tell anybody else who they can love. First of all, I challenge that it's not even love. Second of all, this is not about us telling someone who they can love. Obviously, no one is in that position. What it's about is expressing discontent with something that we see that we don't like. Why? 8 out of 10 of us as black people are unmated. So it is celebratory anytime any of us finds a mate and starts to build a family. But this ain't that. They ain't building no family. This ain't that. This is rebound on one level. And on the second level, it is a script that we see that is very hurtful to us as black men. We're the best of our best, most notable. And I don't know that Lupita is the best of our best, but I do know that she is one of the most notable of us. She's certainly one of the most beautiful of us. That she just gets with a regular, any white boy, right? And just get with this white boy. And then now he can run through her, right? And she's volunteering to become garbage, right? And there's a contingency of black women will say, if she found love, why do we just assume it's love? Look at the history of relationships with black men. I mean, with black women and white men. How many of them have been loved? Look at Halle Berry right now, saying she hates to pay child support. She paying child support to her children with this white man who she says calls her a nigger. Why do we just assume because white men want to play and experience black sexuality like they have always done since they come in contact with us? Why do we assume because they're in the Hollywood culture or the entertainment culture, soon as we see it, it's love, when these people have the worst track record when it comes to relationships? Their relationships are worse than the rest of us out here on the street. So why do we always just give them that nod of this is love? I believe that it is a sense of projection because we feel a certain sense of hopelessness and we put a deity into these celebrities. We deify them and we project the most unrealistic values on them. First of all, as we say often, we should never look to celebrities for relationships, even the ones that are in seemingly good relationships. We should never look to these people for relationships for 5 reasons. Number 1, they are super narcissistic because they are so focused on their career. They're very incapable of sharing a mutually balanced love. Number 2, they have a horrible track record for relationships. Now, if a black man was on the street and told you that he, as a black woman, to the black women under the sound of my voice, told you that he just got out of a divorce in October, in a marriage that he was only married for 3 years, and he was married to a black woman who said he was abusive and emotionally manipulative, etc., and she filed for divorce. Would you consider him as a likely candidate to be in love with already in March? No. You know you wouldn't. I know you wouldn't. And we all know that. So why are we projecting that this is so great? Well, we understand why the white media does it. Because the white media does not promote black men being with white women like this. Pay attention. They only do it with white women. I mean, with white men who are taking our women, and they get celebrated for whoring with our women. But the fear that Frances Cress Welsing talks about of white men losing their women to black men is always present. So whether it's Tiger Woods, whether it's Heidi Klum and Seal, whoever it is, they never get the same billing because all of them relationships ended in divorce. Number 1, because interracial relationships don't have a good success rate. You can look it up statistically. They don't have a good success rate. Why? Because somebody has to abandon their entire identity in order to stay in that relationship. Anybody who's ever dealt with one of these people knows that that's the truth. There are people in their immediate family that hate your guts. Their mother, their father, their grandfather. So cut it out, y'all. This is not love already. Do we really think that the intention here is to marry, have children, and to bring the nations together and heal the divide? Come on, cut it out. That's elementary. And then people with the who am I to judge? Listen, judgment is a part of intelligence. And as black people who are reestablishing our cultural place as the parents of humanity, you are supposed to be judging everything. Now, judging does not mean we hate our sister because we love her dearly. Judging does not mean that we want to kill her or alienate. Judging doesn't even mean that we hate this white man. What it means is that we're passing a value-based judgment on what we're seeing. Now, if we do that in education, if we do that in politics, if we do that in all areas, why is it that when it comes to celebrity intimate relationships, especially those that are interracial, where the woman is black and the man is white, then we don't have no judgment because who are we to judge? Well, I don't take that position. I'm past judgment and I'm not anybody's judge at the same time, but I'm constantly passing judgment on what I see as a clinical therapist, as a historian, as a social scientist, and as a black man. This woman represents to our youth and to our people one of the brightest and best. And now she's moving into the age range and stage of life where she's least likely to get married at 41 years old. And she's making a public announcement that she's in a sexual relationship with this white boy who just abused a black woman, who divorced him, and she filed for divorce and said he was abusive. And now we are saying this is love. They're in love now. And so these kind of things is really saddening and ridiculous to hear. Now, you don't have to agree. You can be happy for them. I don't know why, just off top, you're just so happy for them. But okay, you could be happy for them, but let it be based on something concrete and not symbolism, not empty energy. And the most people who project it are on the thread. We saw the people who said they slept with somebody white, or, a lot of times you can just hear people don't fully understand this is a system that's oppressing us. You don't understand the global system of racism, white supremacy. You could pretend you do, but it got 4 stages: establishment, maintenance, growth, and refinement. And the refinement stage keeps changing and insidiously, because the parts of white supremacy and genetic annihilation, they are now promoting some of us get with them. This is what we see happening with China and Africa. This is what we see happening with many white people. But what happens in the power dynamic? We lose power, they gain privilege to our best, and they gain power. So this is why it's historically insane. I had somebody talking about we worked hard to integrate. Integration has failed. Every social scientist in the world is saying that. Listen, Martin Luther King was saying that before he died. And he still had respect for white people. He still believed in universal justice, but integration hasn't been good for us. I challenge anybody to give us one concrete thing that we've gained from integration. So please, some sisters said, listen, you working again. We fought hard for integration. We were our most productive during Reconstruction, when we came out of slavery and had our black towns, our black banks, our black schools. We produced more doctors, more inventions, more everything. And our families were more intact. The more we've integrated with these people, we've lost all our morality. We've lost our health. We've lost our family. We've lost control of our money. What are y'all talking about? This social media knowledge is ridiculous. Really study something and see. I want somebody intelligent to tell me how integration has helped black people. But that's communally. But on an individual level, sisters, there is a double standard. It is unfair, but it's true. When a man deviates with a yit woman, he's taking something that doesn't belong to him, and it's morally wrong. When a woman does that, she's giving something away. She's volunteering to be garbage. She's not taking anything. She's making a public statement that I am willing to be used on center stage by somebody who doesn't have my best interest. How can I assume that? Because historically, we don't see an example of it. And I'm not talking about 20 people. I'm talking about 6,000 years. So I'm going to go with 6,000 years, as opposed to this one man who a black woman just a few months ago divorced him, saying he was abusive and manipulative. So I'm pretty sure that it's okay for me to say he hasn't proven that he's great, benevolent, altruistic, or truly in love. I went to school with white boys. I know about the fetish that white men have for black women. You're not in many of their cultures, you're not even a full, you haven't had sex until you can smut out a black woman. And then once you're done, then what? We receive you back because we love you, but then who respectfully says, oh, I want to get with you now? Only the people who deify you as a celebrity who don't have a chance of being with you anyway. But a real respectful man saying, okay, now this is the woman that I want to marry. and have children with. It's very unlikely. And I'm saying that from a clinical therapeutic perspective of analyzing the world and relationships. This is why 8 out of 10 of us are unmated anyway. And we think it means nothing to have sex with multiple men. But every time you do that, you give some of yourself away. And when you give some of yourself away, you can't get it back. And so when we see that, that's the thing that really hurts us. That's the thing that makes us feel like, wow, our beloved sister has made a choice. Now, when you combine that with she's a national spokesperson for De Beers Diamond, who is a bloody, murderous, exploitive white organization that is killing. They literally admit to killing black people and exploiting South African diamond mines with babies working in there and all kind of stuff. And you are a spokesperson for that? Damn. Damn.